Okay, let's carry on the conversation. Let me introduce to the stage Bjorn, the CEO of Norwegian. Good morning. So, you guys operate a very efficient, very successful, low-cost, short-haul business. We all know that. What we're all fascinated to see is whether or not you can deliver on the promises that you've made. You've ordered the aeroplanes, the business model now needs to work. Why are you so confident that now is the moment that we're going to see low-cost, long-haul fly?
Well, that's actually a long study we made on that, and that's is how people will fly in the future, and what parts of the world actually will really start flying, and where will they fly from and to. And what's a very interesting thing to see is when the Asians starts flying actually into Europe, for instance. Everybody in India have at least 10 cousins in England, so obviously you will see a mass of people from India flying into England and so on. So that's actually how people will fly in the future.
We talk as if long haul low cost is something that hasn't been achieved yet. You talk to Tony Fernandez or someone like that, they'll argue they're doing it already.
Yeah, it's in Asia they're doing it to a large extent, and it will come all over the world. Well, we are the first one to start here in Europe, but I hope many others will follow, because that will create a much higher volume, and it will take care of and people will have the ability to travel for low fares also on long haul.
Is this aircraft dependent? Is that the deciding factor here? Tony was very keen to push John Leahy for the 330neo because it's an aircraft that has the capability to do what he needs it to do, significantly lowering the cost of operating. You've bought the 787. Is that the deciding factor that's going to make this work? People have tried it with 340s and various other airplanes with very poor effect.
Yeah, we did the calculation on all types of aircraft before we decided to start up, and we couldn't get the figures to add up. But they actually burn too much fuel. I mean, the fuel cost on the 340 is around £10 million a year more than on the 787. Yeah. So how can you make money?
What about the regulators? You have an interesting relationship with the regulators right now, the Department of Transport in the United States. Are we going to be able to make this happen, do you think, on the North Atlantic? Do you think that the vested interests are going to allow you to do this?
Yeah, we fly the North Atlantic today, but we fly it under the Norwegian EUAOC, but the Norwegian EUAOC is actually very, as we are outside EU, it's very limited access.
So within the EU, do you think it's going to work?
It's a very limited access from Norway to places in the Far East, Africa and South America. Only bilateral agreements, so we don't have access to the EU traffic rights. So going east. To the west we have access, but not going east. So that's why we need. Do
you think you're going to get it? The temporary one's been turned down. You look at the rules on open skies. Presumably, there's nothing that stands in your way.
No, and we fly with the same crew, with the same aircraft, with the same everything with the Norwegian EUAOC. Why couldn't we fly under an EU EUAOC?
So when do you think it's going to happen? You are confident it is going to happen. You bought an awful lot of planes to make sure that it does happen. When are we going to see it?
It will come true. It will come true.
When?
It depends. There is an election coming up in the US, and a lot of these people protesting on Norwegian is funding her representatives to these elections. As soon as this election is over, I guess it will quiet down and it will come true.
Okay. Why the North Atlantic? Why not make Asia work for you? It almost seems the way you've structured it would be a better fit to go east rather than west.
That's to a certain. I agree with you. The problem is, first of all, transatlantic is the low-hanging fruit. But the big growth is obviously coming from the Far East. But then you need traffic rights access, and we can't get access out of Norway because we are outside EU. We have to be inside EU. That is why we started west instead of east, because we don't have traffic rights to fly into. We can't. Oslo is only 620,000 people. I mean, it's way too few people there.
Point to point doesn't work.
It's a too small catchment area.
When you look at this then, and you talk about there being low-hanging fruit on the North Atlantic, like how low-hanging is it? What is the opportunity? If Asia's too tough to make work, unless you can operate it out of the EU, and you're going to focus on the North Atlantic, how big an opportunity is there? We've seen what's happened in short haul, and the way that's changed the market. Low-hanging fruit, how low is it?
Well, you see, as we see it, it isn't a big difference on long haul and short haul. You have to do the same principle will apply for if you fly low cost. If you want to fly low cost long haul, you have to have short turnarounds. Today, the hub and spoke system is built up in a way that you take the wave in the morning, fly out, and you wait for the wave in the evening, fly back. You can't do that on flying on a low cost. Then you get way too low utilization. You have to fly with 90 minutes turnaround all the time.
With bigger airplanes?
With bigger airplanes, yes.
Is it possible to have the same sort of turnaround times as bigger aircraft?
That's what they are built for.
Right.
So they're built for 90 minutes turnaround.
Yeah, very few people make that happen, as you say.
Yeah, because and that's the way they operate. Because they are waiting for the waves in and out. But I think one have to also to remember that when the Max and the Neo will make a lot of change to the hub and spoke system, because also they will also start to fly long haul in the future, especially the Max, because they have the range to do it.
Yeah.
So there will be a lot of more direct flights in the future.
Is Gatwick the best place to operate all of this out of, particularly if it gets a new runway?
Gatwick is fantastic because they have. Then we don't have to really rely on only on our own feeder network. We can rely on EasyJet, Ryanair. Because you have self-connect at Gatwick. That's a superb system.
Do you think you clearly think it should get another runway?
I think definitely it should get another runway.
Are you a leasing company or are you an airline?
We see in the future that we will put aircraft into the market that the market can accept and that we can earn money on. And we remember that we will have today we have 100 aircraft and that we in due time will phase out when we get the Max and the Neo.
Yeah.
So. And we have and the excess aircraft. I mean, there isn't many that have bought cheaper airplanes than we have in the world. So why shouldn't we lease out the aircraft that we don't need?
The leasing companies take a slightly different view on that.
Yeah, they do. Of course, they don't like competition like everybody else.
Do you think that's a business model that will be adopted by others?
No, I think this is. We run a bank, a very successful bank. Why should an airline run a bank? It's incredibly successul.
Yeah.
But why should an airline run a bank? Of course, we have the mass of passengers. We cross-sell. That's the idea of the whole thing. And whatever we can't utilize, or whatever we can utilize out of our passenger stream, we utilize.
To come back to the point that Christoph was making about ancillary revenue, do you feel you're squeezing that enough at the moment?
No, we are not. And Christoph is incredible good of doing. He ran an extremely efficient setup, a very good airline. We are on our way. We are doing fine, but not fine enough. I think ancillary revenues will be one of the biggest streams. And but then again, if you also take into the profit in our bank, we make a
So you're a leasing company, you're a bank, you're a retailer, you're an airline. Where does the priority lie in all of that?
Obviously the airline, but we are out there to make money. and not only fly airplanes. It's whatever we can make money on, we do.
Should we stop thinking about airlines as airlines?
No, I don't think so. Yeah. We should think airline as airline.
Okay. When you're thinking about what you are going to do next, and you think about how the timeline works for you, do you feel frustrated? Do you feel that you've made some mistakes in terms of the commitment that you've made? You have bought an awful lot of airplanes. We talked about leasing. We talked about the opportunities to drive those onto the long-haul markets. There are impediments in your way. Do you think you pulled the trigger a little early? And interestingly enough, do you think you bought the wrong aeroplane as well? The 787 versus the A330, would you have been better to wait?
First of all, the 330 Neo, that's the only one you could actually do it with because we need the range. We need the range. And Neo has the range, and that will be an incredible good aircraft. But we need something like the 350, like the Dreamliner, to get it to work. That's the only airplanes that can give us a low enough cost to fly long haul, because we have it's actually the same as short haul. You can't do short haul with an MD-80. You have to either fly an Airbus, modern Airbus, or modern 77. So it's the same principle.
But do you think you went early? Do you think you...
I don't think so. We have a network, 420 routes, so we have a much larger network than most of the long-haul carriers today. So why shouldn't we succeed?
I'm just... To just kind of draw the line between the fact that you have an awful lot of airplanes, you're still waiting for the regulatory clearance to work. I'm just kind of, when you thought about how this was going to work and you tried to get your ducks in line, because other people are going to try this, how do you think you mistimed some of those moves?
I don't think so. I think we are in the timing is very good. What surprised? I shouldn't be surprised, but there are some airlines that hate competition, of course. Yeah. I'm not talking about Christoph. I'm not talking about Kenny and those that love competition because it favors the customers. But some of the airlines give a shit about the customers. They suck it for what they can pay, instead of trying to get up the volume and try to get everybody to be happy. So and there is in the future can be a huge growth on the long haul operation that also will benefit the short haul.
Sure. Just on the capacity question, actually, while we're here, too much capacity. You talk about that market being much bigger. Is there too much capacity right now? Is there going to be too much capacity in the future? I
fully agree with Christoph. That's what I have told since we started up in 2002. It's way too much capacity, and we are flying 5 years in Europe. We are flying twice as many passengers in Europe today as we are than people flying in 2002. And obviously there's a lot more capacity out in the market. But this is the same as in all areas. Those who are creating the overcapacity is those who are that are being subsidized. They should have gone out of the business in other areas. They would
Why
have
has that not happened? Everybody's going to come up here. Kenny's probably going to say the same thing as well. Why hasn't it happened?
Because the government owns airlines, and they are proud to own airlines, and they can't bankrupt their airlines, and they can't even get rid of their... and some of them like to own shares in the airlines, and they have all the taxpayers paying into to actually subsidize these airlines. So it's a crazy world. You would never see this in retail or other areas. You see, that's the only thing area you see it in the airline industry. Is totally crazy. They should have gone out of business 10 years ago.
The airline industry is totally crazy. On that note, we'll wrap it up with you, Bjorn. And thanks very much indeed. We're going to play musical chairs now. Let me introduce to the stage Kenny. We'll get Kenny's take on all of this. Kenny Jacobs, the CMO of Ryanair.